So today we're going to be going over my 10 favorite standalone books of all time. And this is ranging through multiple different categories, genres, everything. Okay, we're going to go through murder mystery, historical fiction, historical book, romantasy, fantasy. We're going to go through all of them, okay? And I'm going to tell you the top 10 standalones that I've ever read ever in my entire life. Is this the second time of me filming this video? Yes, because the audio was fucked the first time around. And the first time around, I decided I was going to do it like from 1 to 10, and I was going to start like, telling you what the 10th place is all the way to up to 1, and just, everything. But just the categorization of it didn't make sense to me, I couldn't actually place them in a position where I was happy with the books because they're so different that how can I put this magnificent sci-fi below just a magnificent romantasy, like as if they're not completely different opposite books. So I'm not going to be ranking them in 1 to 10. So I made a list of all the standalones I've read, chose the top 10, and that's what I'm going to be going over with you, but depending on the genre of the book, because I feel like that will be a lot more informative than me going over and just ranking them blindly and not loving the ranking I did. You know what I mean? Okay, first off, we're going to start with sci-fi, okay? Because I only have one book for this category. Even though I have a favorite sci-fi series, when it comes to standalone, this is my favorite of all time. I also don't read that much sci-fi. Unfortunately, I need to read more. I want to read more. But this one is like the big kahuna, okay? And it is Limit by Frank that, okay? So this book is literally 1,091 pages long. Okay, and this is the Portuguese edition. It's not a small dainty book. It's literally hardback sized. Okay, guys, the letters in this are minuscule. Okay, it's so long. I don't even know how they printed this big of a book. It literally broke while I was halfway through, and now the book just opens always in that section. Like literally, it always opens there. That's how heavy this book is. So this is actually passes in 2025. Yeah. It's actually this year. It's ridiculous. When I went to pick it up, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's 2025, and it is. This is supposed to be like a futuristic version of our world. So our world, as it was, just kept advancing in 2025. It's very much technologically advanced, a lot more than it is, to be fair, today. And there's two different storylines going on around this. First, you have a space station that is tethered to the Earth through an elevator. Earth, elevator sticking out, space station, okay? And it's supposed to be this resort hotel within the stars where all the famous people go and all of that jazz. And it's not famous people like, oh, Beyonce or whatever, right? It's like famous scientists and journalists and everything. And it's going to be like the opening of this like space station. On the other hand, you have a detective in Shanghai, and he's investigating a string of murders and just investigating a few things. And he comes across this whole conspiracy that somehow connects with what's happening at the space station thing. And so we go through this whole adventure in this like more technologically advanced version of our world, but like how it would be if technology took over, right? Like, so you have a lot of like just references for things that were really known back then, but they're still used today, but in a different way. There's also obviously a different reality. There's a lot more poor people and a lot rich people, but not a lot of people in between. The planet is overpopulated. It's this whole thing. Also, the murder mystery, the mystery aspect of it is so good. The action aspect of this, so freaking good. Like all of it. Like I honestly, this book is 10 out of 10. Like I loved it so much. It took me a month to read this. I was also younger. Like I read this when I was a lot younger, but it took me a month to read it. I was loving it, but it was so hard. Also had to like lug around this whole thing so much so it's absolutely disgusting. It yellowed, and apparently my hands were extremely greasy when I touched this book when I was younger, which is not something I'm proud of. Okay, in my defense, my room is extremely humid, so some of my books don't survive this room. And didn't survive me going to college and this room being closed up. So that's why this happened. Also, it depends on the quality of the paper. So you can tell that the paper isn't that good quality because it's very yellow. If sci-fi is your thing, go check this out. Trust me, you will not regret it. It's just so well fucking done. It's honestly insane. Okay. Next up, we're going to jump into romantasy because I have two books here that I honestly absolutely love and adore in so many different ways. So let's go through them. Mind you, I read a lot of fantasy series. I have a lot of recommendations when it comes to that, but standalones when it comes to romantasy is very rare to find. Also, romantasies oftentimes are stories that we love and we adore, but it's just one more book, Like it's not that different, it's not that impactful, so you tend to forget about it completely, or you just get it mixed up. It's not out of the box. And these ones were books that like left a mark, and I still think about them to this day. So that's why I chose these ones in particular, even though there were other standalones that I did enjoy at the time, but they weren't as impactful as these ones. First off, we have Sorcery of Thorns. Now, if you haven't read this, girl, what are you waiting for? This is fucking fantastic. We follow our FMC. She works at a magical library. The way this world is organized, you have like 5 major libraries. They're kind of like in a pentagram. They're 5, right? And then in the middle, you have like the main town, main city of the kingdom. And she works in one of those libraries. And it's the first library to get hit with an attack where most of their people die. And especially the person that is in charge of this library. Now, she's not a librarian apprentice. She was just born and raised in that library, and so she is used to being there. And these libraries aren't regular libraries either. They store magical books, like books with wills and like they know things, they fly around, they have personalities. They're not just magical tomes. They're actual like alive books. And she meets a sorcerer, right? Which is our FMC. Now this sorcerer, like usually sorcerers and librarians don't interact much, they don't like each other, but she just met him occasionally, and this was right before the attack. Now the attack happens and she has to flee to the main city. She gets into some trouble, she gets rescued by whom? The sorcerer. Yeah. The sorcerer, yeah. And she goes and lives with the sorcerer, and they're trying to figure out who is attacking the libraries, because after that first attack, other libraries were attacked, and she saw something regarding that, right? And so they're trying to investigate that, and they have to infiltrate the main library that is in the main capital and try to figure out what's going on and try to understand how to fix this. And so you have like a nice plot, a nice setting for the story. It's a very unique, I won't say magical system, but I think it's a very unique concept of the books being magical and her being connected to the books. It's very unique in that aspect. The magic also, like the house they live in is also magical. There's also a third character that is so cute. I love him so much. I love him so much. Honestly, I love him. And it's just, the whole concept itself, like the book, I don't know, the story just stuck, okay? You then have a little mini short story, The Mysteries of Thorn Manor. That one is also very cute, okay? If you really like the first one, you have to go read that one. That one is very, very cute. And I don't know, dude, it's like, this story just, it's such a cute romantasy with nice setting, nice plot. She's also a badass, mind you. She's a badass. And it was just, honest to God, it was perfection, okay? I love this book so, so much. So if you haven't checked it out, this one, Also, I'm gonna be linking down below all the books, if I don't forget. So if you want to check those out, you can also go there just for easy access. The second romantasy that I also absolutely loved, and I still to this day think about it, was Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. This bitch of a book is like a trilogy, but in one book. It's ridiculous. It's so small, yet there's so much story within the pages of this book. So this book is set in a like Asian-inspired setting, right? Where you have humans living in this land that is surrounded by a wall, and you have gods living in the godlands, which is basically in the sky, and they are ruling over the humans serve the gods, but like they don't have much interaction. They have like occasionally the chief of the humans has interaction with them, but nothing that much. Now the humans do suffer a lot because of the gods like moods and humors, until one day the chief of the humans gets killed because he was on a mission by the god queen to go search for an item that he stole and gave to his granddaughter to save her life because she was dying. And the gods find out that it's gone. They don't know where it is. So they kill him. And our FMC runs away, tries to escape, but ends up being confronted by these like magical creatures from the underworld. And one of the gods finds her and he takes her with him. And she has to now like be the chief of the humans, because she was the next one in line, but also she's going to have to swear fealty to the gods, and she's taken to the god world, okay? And that's where the story starts to unravel. She starts to discover secrets that the gods aren't actually like happy, that there's a lot of like things going on in the god realm, and there's a lot more pieces at play. We also know that the underworld is actually coming back alive because these humans, they're located in that particular spot because there's a mountain that they are protecting. That mountain is what stands between them and the underworld, and so the humans are there to protect and fight against whatever comes out of that mountain, even though it was sealed eons ago, right? But they are still there trying to protect that mountain. Now, the problem is, those creatures start to slowly lurk out, but no one tells them why. No one tells them how. Like, they're trying to figure out how are these creatures coming out? How are, like, no one should be able to cross from the underworld. And so they're also trying to figure that out. And like, look, the story is amazing. You have like a full part in the god realm, you then come back to earth, you then have the underworld. Like, there's so much going on, and you feel like it was a full-on trilogy, because some people would have done this in a trilogy, would have stretched it as much as they could. She did it all in one book, and it doesn't feel like too much, it doesn't feel like too little. It's fast-paced, but not too fast-paced, you know? It's so deliciously done. And the plot twist, you will not see coming. The plot twist in this thing, you will not see coming. So when I tell you this is an amazing, amazing written book, feels like a fucking trilogy, this is great. I love this book. Now, let's go into more historical/historical fiction books. I have, again, 2. Okay, let's start with the fiction. Okay, so we're going to start with Dan Brown, The Lost Symbol. Now, I don't know if you've ever read Dan Brown. He has a very specific way of writing. His writing is like a lot of research is put into these books. In this case, we travel down the Masonic rabbit hole in this book. We follow a professor that Dan Brown uses for most of his books. And this professor is like, he's supposed to be expert in all like historical things. If you saw the Da Vinci Code, it's that guy, okay? From the movie, it's that guy. So this symbol is found out, like this weird object with weird symbols, and he has to decode it. And turns out everything is connected to the Masons, to the Masonic thing, okay? And this goes deep into that like belief system, into that into all the symbolism of the Masons and all of it, okay? Like, it's so fucking cool, okay? Whilst him being hunted and people don't want him to find out what he's trying to find out, and like his life is in danger, there's all of this action-packed thing, but also with the historical information on the Masons. Honestly, it's so fucking cool, okay? Other books of his are also good. I really love his books, but this one is by far my favorite of all of the books I read from him. I just really like the way this one was done, the symbolism, the cracking the code, the figuring out how the pieces put together, this whole puzzle that he needs to figure out and you're figuring out with him. And then there's action because he's in trouble and there's people after them. Like, it's so cool. Now going to, I don't even know how you say it, okay? Because this isn't fiction, this is historical, but it's like, how do you call those like self-written books? You know what I mean? But this is The Tattooist of Auschwitz. So this was a book that was written by the actual tattooist of Auschwitz, the one that puts the numbers on the people's arms. And this is him telling how everything happened, like how he went from being in his regular life to being in Auschwitz and then escaping, and how it was afterwards, after everything was dismantled. And this is such a realistic telling of what happened in there, and it like opens up a window of their reality, their day-to-day reality, and the atrocities and the disgusting things that they went through, that people put them through. It makes you grieve, it makes you feel lost, it makes you angry, it makes you just deep how bad it was. Like, I know a lot of us know how bad it was. Like, we have an idea of how bad it was, right? It's instilled in us from very early on in school how bad this was. But this is another level. This is you living it with him. You know what I mean? And so it's just one of those really impactful books. It's tiny, it's minuscule, but it's so impactful. Like, honestly, for me, this book felt like it was like yay big, honestly. It's just so wow. Having in account the state of the world today, give this a try, because it will open up your eyes like a lot to the reality that they went through. Next up, we have murder mysteries, because I love a good murder mystery. And let me be honest, majority of my standalones are murder mysteries. Firstly, we're gonna start with Gone Girl, okay? Again, Portuguese version, so don't mind the title, but Gone Girl. If you've seen the movie, you need to read the book. If you read the book, you need to see the movie, because honestly, I think the movie was pretty good. It's not the same as the book though. You go through a lot of feelings with the book, but if you don't know what this is about, in this book we follow a guy. He's a professor in I think it's like a community college or something. He's in a marriage and he thinks he's happily married. In his head, everything is fine. But then one day, his wife goes missing. No one knows where she is. She's just missing. And then evidence starts popping up that maybe she isn't just missing. Maybe she was murdered. Maybe she's actually dead. And evidence starts popping up, and these weird things start showing up, kind of blaming him for her death. But he's like, I didn't do this. Like, I didn't do this. I wasn't even home at the time. I was too busy cheating on her with one of my students. Yeah. And he starts getting into a lot of trouble, but the police can't actually like imprison him because like they don't have enough evidence. But things starts to mount up and people start to question him and question who he is. He finds one of her diaries, and her diaries kind of tell the story a bit differently. He remembers certain things. We're like, wait, this isn't exactly how it happened. She's distorting everything and she's living things very differently. And It's a whole mindfuck of a book, okay? Whole mindfuck of a book. We don't know if she's alive, if she's dead. We don't know what's going on. If he's completely crazy, he's not living reality, or if she's the crazy one that's not living reality, like, we don't know. We just know that she's gone, and he's getting blamed for it. And like, everyone starts thinking it's him, it has to be him. It's always the spouse, right? Like, has to be him. And I mean, he was cheating, so obviously he didn't love her, and he would have hurt her, right? You need to read it if you like those mindfuck ones. This is really good. Talking about mindfucks, we also have Blood Moon by Joe Nesbo. I think it's Blood Moon, okay? I always say the title wrong, and the title in the book here, the original one, isn't in English, so I'm not sure anymore, but Blood Moon, okay? Like, it's a whole series with this one detective at the center, and this detective is called up while he's drinking his sorrows away in the US. Hey, we need you back in Oslo because we need you to investigate this, like, whatever. But not by the police, as a private investigator, okay? By the man who's being accused of murder for 2 girls. Yeah, 2 girls that show up murdered, and the only connection between them is the parties that this dude is throwing. That's where they met. And now he needs to figure out what the fuck happened with these girls. Their death is weird. How they died, what caused their death is fucking weird. No one really understands what's going on. They don't understand how they're connected. And if it's not the party and people don't believe he's guilty, which he does not believe the dude is guilty, then what happens? Also, he's investigating it, but it's like, if I find you guilty, you're guilty, bitch, so you better be careful, but you're paying me for it. I don't give a shit. So he basically, like, has to investigate this. And it's such a mindfuck because, like, I'm telling you right now, you won't guess who it is. You won't, because there's one tiny minuscule detail in the entire book that tells you who it is, and only after you finish the last pages, okay? Not this, pages, okay? Will you understand that detail there is the thing. Also, you have the POV of the detective, but also the POV of the psychopath. Yeah, of the guy that's to blame. Which I love, by the way, like, having those 2 POVs to, like, understand how that, like, decrepit brain works, but also understanding the logic behind the detectives and what they're going through. Love that. There's also a few scenes that interconnect with the rest of the book, so those are fine. You don't care. You don't need to care about those, but it's good. It is a bit prolonged, so I do think that this book, like, could have been, like, this shorter, because there's a lot of, like, the typical details when you see murder mysteries, which is like, he drove a Ferrari, whatever, like, he took this coffee and it was like this. It has those, but it's not the worst ones, okay? I've had books where I could not read them because the details were so fucking annoying and useless. In this case, they're not, and sometimes in the mix of those details, you might lose the important ones. Just saying, okay? But it is very fucking good. It's one of my favorite murder mysteries so far because it really fucked with my brain. Like, I was at the end of the book, like, I don't understand how this is happening. Like, insane. Love this book. The last category is where our last 3 books are at. And this category is one in of itself, okay? Because I don't know what to categorize this as, but they're unique books that I absolutely love. We're gonna start with the first one because it's the only one I have in actual, like, physical form. And it's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Okay, I know this book isn't for everyone, but I've seen this book in bookstores for years. I mean, I think like a decade, probably. And I never understood why the fuck people cared. It doesn't sound interesting at all. The blurb doesn't do it justice until it does, you know, until you read it and you're like, oh, wow, that's a really good book, but you really can't categorize it. And it's one of those books that, like, leave traces behind. It's not a book that you put down and you don't think about it anymore. It keeps coming back from time to time. You remind yourself. You look at the cover and you're like, oh, Addie dearest, you know? So if you don't know what this book is about, we basically follow Addie LaRue, and she's a girl in, like, this little village, I think in France, and she basically is, like, about to get married and she does not want to, so she runs away to a river near her, like, little town, and she starts praying to the gods. But she doesn't realize is that she made a very big mistake where she prayed for so long that night fell. And she stopped praying for the good gods and she started praying to the bad god, and she did not realize it until the god answered. And the god of shadow, darkness, death, all of it, answers her and tells her, okay, I'll help you. You don't have to get married anymore, and you'll escape your marriage and you'll be able to live a free life. And so she runs and nothing changes. She doesn't think anything changed. She goes back to her village and no one remembers her. No one fucking remembers her. There's no wedding. There's nothing. She goes and meets up with people she knows. They don't recognize her own mother, her own father. No one recognizes her, okay? She's like never existed, erased from their memories. And she also notices that when she leaves a room, no one remembers her afterwards. No one will remember anything about her. The cameras won't pick her up. Photos won't keep her. Nothing sticks, okay? Nothing sticks. So this book is written in 2 different timelines. That timeline where we get to see what's happening to her, like when she was created, but also present time, which is literally today, present time, modern era, and she's in the US and just lounging about, buying, shopping things and whatever, and one day she goes into a bookstore, she steals a book, and someone comes running after her and like, bitch, what do you mean? What are you doing? Why are you stealing this book? Give it back. And she's so stunned, she's like, but I walked out the door. How do you, what? And so next day she comes over, goes to just try and steal a book, and the guy goes, are you fucking kidding me? Are you insane? What are you doing here? Literally saw you stealing here yesterday and you're here today. Are you absolutely out of your mind? He remembers her. He is the first person in centuries, except that one god, that reminds her. And so the whole story develops through there, but the backstory also tells a little bit about her interactions with the god, because he's the only one that remembers her. So it's really good because you have the 2 timelines, you have difficult choices. It's just so interesting. And I didn't think I was going to find this interesting at all. I was just like, okay, let me see what the hype is about. And I devoured this book. I loved it so much. So I don't know what to tell you, but there's some kind of drug in this. And V. Schwab, absolutely love her book. So absolutely love this one. Next, we have Blood Over Brighthaven. I still don't have the physical copy of this, unfortunately, but it's definitely on my list to get. This is another book that, like, I don't even know how to describe it, okay? So it happens in this world that is plagued by this, well, plague that kills people. Yeah, it kills people out in the wild. People and any living being. Like, non-living things, they don't suffer, but living things, they do. And it just strikes them and you don't know what happens, right? Except in this one town that's protected by this magical barrier, which is, it has another name, but I call it Brighthaven, okay? It's like this safe haven for everyone to protect them from that plague. And so we start the book off with this tribe of people running towards them over like this frozen pond to get to the city to be safe, and only 2 people survive. 2. And then next up, we're like years later, we're following this one girl that's going to do the exams to become a full sorcerer thing, which is one of the highest ranking things you can have in this society, because the sorcerers are the one that protect them. The magic is used to sustain a lot of the infrastructure in this city. And so she goes and does this test. No one wants her to win because she's a woman, obviously. Why would they want women to do that? But she has a professor that has her back, and like she impresses them like to the T. And the magical system in this world is also very fucking unique. It's like, it's so interesting. It's insane. But basically, like, they have these like typewriters where they put in a code, and that code then translates to magic. So it's like coding, think computer coding, but in a typewriter, and that result isn't a computer program, it's actually magic. Really fucking cool. But there's a lot of equations, a lot of math, a lot of like those things. And she becomes one of the sorcerers, and she meets the dude that survived, one of the people that survived. And they join together and they start like working together, basically. It touches on very, very important things. Social injustices, but also a lot of moral questioning. A lot of like morality is put into cause here, because the people that come and seek shelter in this town, in this city, they're treated like below shit. Like, they're not even dogs, they're not even animals, like they're below shit. Like, they're mistreated, they're poor, they live in really crappy situations. It's really bad, they're really mistreated. In another hand, you have a lot of women that also suffer and are mistreated, and there's these like dyeing plants where like they dye fabrics and things, you know, textiles, and a lot of women die or become infertile or have a lot of health issues in those plants too. And so there's a lot of discourse around like the way the other people are treated because they're different, or they have a different culture, they have a different religion, or they have a different belief system, and they're not like respected just because it's different from what the city wants, or what the majority wants, or what the sorcerers want, right? There's also the mistreated treatment of women, and how like women aren't supposed to do these jobs. Women are hysterical. If women have depression, they're hysterical. If, you know, it's very like in olden times where they would do electric shock therapy if you got a little bit depressed, where they would like literally drill a hole in your head, like things like that. It's so backwards, right? It makes you think, it makes you really think about everything, and it makes you like understand both sides of the coin. It makes you understand how like someone that's so indoctrinated in one thing, when they open their eyes, what happens next, you know, like all of it. And it's not one of those books that's going to have a happy ending. It's very realistic, but it leaves you so satisfied. And I read this in one sitting. one sitting. I devoured this book. It's absolutely insane. Loved every single second of this book, and I would always recommend it. It's one of my 5 stars. Also from the same author, we have The Sword of Kaigan. Now this book happens in a world, in a like peninsula called Kaigan, and Kaigan is called the Sword of Kaigan because it's the like main barrier between the mainland and the foreigners that are going to attack them and that might attack them. So they're called the Sword of Kaigan because they literally fight with swords, and they have magical sword abilities. Okay, not everyone, mind you. And they were the ones that like stopped the war. They were the ones that like were the turning point for the war, and they protected the mainland and all of that. And there's this whole history, and we follow a few characters in this place, in a little village, and the village like works very like we're all together. There's chief tribes, but there's the women, there's all of that, and so we follow this child that is like our main character, or what we feel like is our main character, and he is like going to school. He meets this new kid that comes from outside, and he starts like messing with his brain because like the gift from outside says, no, there's technology. History isn't exactly how it's being taught here. Like, why are you guys distorting history? This is not history. Like, real history is back in the mainland. This is not true. Everything you've been told is a lie. On the other side, we have his mom, and his mom is miserable being a woman in this village because she was a fighter. She was badass. She was this amazing swordswoman, and here she's has to be content with having babies and making food and taking care of the house and knitting and shit, and she's absolutely miserable. And we have like the accountant of that little town, which is his father, and he is like very cold-hearted, very like set in his ways. He's like this. He doesn't see anything other than what's in front of him. Long story short, something happens in this town. It's attacked, and the whole story shifts midway through the book. Like, you think this is what's happening, and you're not understanding like why the book takes you through a setting of like what the day-to-day normal life is, but also how things started to like, you know, unravel and like not really show, and all the issues that there is between this family. And then one day everything just is turned upside down. The whole story changes. The main character changes. Everything changes. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? And it becomes so much more. Again, talks about really important topics. It addresses a lot about like tradition and being set on your ways because it's tradition, because it's the way things always were. It's because like it's set in stone. It's because it's the place of the man to do this, the place of the woman to do that. All of this, and then like, no, like, we're all humans, we're all capable of all of these things, we're equals, like, enough with this full fucking bullshit. Let's like turn this thing around. You need us, like, we need to figure this out. And it's so, and there's a lot of disaster, there's moments where you will feel like crying. It's crude, but it's so interesting, like, it's so unique. And so like, you won't see a lot of people explain to you what this book is about, because there's no way you can explain without fucking spoiling everything, and you need to go through it. So if you're thinking of reading this, go prepared, because the first like third of the book is really like, okay, like, I don't know if I'm liking this, I don't know if I'm gonna continue, should I DNF? Keep at it. It's really, really fucking worth it. So fucking worth it. Trust, okay? So yeah, these were my top 10 standalones of all times that I've read up to this day, okay? September 2025, these are the top standalones I've read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know of your top standalones that you've read in your life in the comments down below. I'm so open for like recommendations, especially if you have sci-fi recs. I would very much appreciate some awesome sci-fi recs. If you haven't yet already and you like this video, make sure to like the video so I know that like this is a video that's worth making, this type of video, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. And if you want to see more like on a day-to-day basis, TikTok is the place to go. Also on Instagram, but TikTok is definitely where I'm most active, to be completely honest. And so yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video next week. Bye.